Yo, Thought Warriors. What is up? Our learning is on. It is I, Lathan Jr.
And it's me, Rachel and Lindsay.
How was your weekend?
My weekend, it was cool. Worked Friday.
Nice.
Tiffany Haddish had an event
She ready?
for her charity.
She Ready Prom?
She Ready Foundation.
Yeah.
She Ready Prom. Yep. Were you there?
No, I saw
was
people
only there
posting
beginning.
about it. Though it was like a adult prom.
Oh.
Everybody's going to adult proms. Prom season is very controversial this year. I'm not sure why.
Wait, what do you mean controversial?
Everybody's talking about different issues surrounding prom. People are talking about what kids are wearing to prom this, prom that, promedy, prom.
What do you remember? Did you go to prom?
I did go to prom.
Good or bad experience?
Fantastic.
And how many did you go to?
I went to a couple of proms. I went to prom a couple of different times. It was fantastic. Never had a bad one. My prom, other people's proms, prom. And it was great. One prom night was specifically great.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Okay. I went to 3.
3 proms.
And one was mine, 2 were someone else's. They were good, but one of them I went to was like a favor. Like their parents asked my parents if I would go. And looking back, I feel like I made his prom miserable.
I can tell.
I said yes because I had to. But looking back, I could have done so much better to make his prom experience better. Like he's probably somewhere telling people he had a terrible prom.
What did you do?
Nothing.
See, this is the difference. I had the same situation. Friend of somebody said, hey, Van is cute. I want to go to the prom with him. And I went to the prom and took the prom over.
So you made it about you?
Well, I wanted to make sure. So here's the thing. The young lady herself was, I didn't know her, friend of a friend, but I wanted to make the prom special. And anyway, I thought that I should go above and beyond to make the prom special. And I tried. I mean, I kind of made it about me, but hell.
But listen, you were better than me.
I mean, not better,
I danced.
but I was like, let's just get it. I got in there and it was nothing really, but she was like one of the only black kids at her school. And so, I was in there.
Oh, it was one of those?
It was one of those, yeah.
So I got like that.
Tear the motherfucking prom down. Bring
not
up
hard
the Achilles
to shine.
shit to the prom. Yeah.
Not hard to shine at those. Mine was not. That prom that you described is how my First Baptist Academy was. This prom I went to was Duncanville's.
Okay.
And
niggas.
I had been the year before.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
With somebody different.
Yeah.
And then this year I went and but looking back, like I could have been better. I wasn't rude. I was just kind of like, I wasn't myself.
Yeah, we know.
But I don't know. I feel that. Anyways, prom was great.
Yeah.
This event was great. I thought it was really cool. And obviously it, Tiffany Haddish talks about growing up in foster care. And so the foundation and this event specifically benefits youth growing up in the system. And so it's for a great cause. And what she's doing is fantastic. Then I went Saturday. I drank all day. And I really suffered Sunday. Brian's best friend was in town. So we went to brunch. And then we went to Soho. And I saw Praz.
You saw Praz?
Praz was there.
Oh,
I was like,
shit.
Oh. I was like, that's Praz.
You saw Praz? Damn. What, did you talk to him? I would have went up and talked to him.
Well, the girl with us knew him.
You was hanging out with Praz?
No. She waited. He was at a table and she waited. And then she went up. She was like, we haven't heard from him in years. It's Haitian. It's like they're all connected. They all know each other. It's actually really cool. And so she went over and spoke to him separately after he sat down.
If Praz would have came over and talked to y'all, I'd have had to pat him down. I got to check for a wire.
He didn't come over and talk to us, but we did earlier that day see Chris Paul, and he came over and talked.
Where was this at?
Well, first we were at JG Rooftop.
Wait, are you in New York or are you in LA?
This is LA.
Oh, I'm trying to figure out what the hell is going on because I thought you said Soho. Oh, when you said Soho, you meant the Soho House. Oh, when you said Soho,
yes,
I thought
Soho
for
House,
some reason
sorry.
that you were actually in Soho. You at the Soho House. Okay, yeah. So you saw Chris
Makes
Paul,
sense.
and then he came
First
over.
we were
He was with
JG. Yes.
He was with Kim Kardashian or no?
Wow. No, he was with his kid. It was a birthday party for some kids, so please stop.
Okay.
He was chopped it up with him for a second. And I like those moments because it makes me look cool in front of Brian. Because Brian's like such a sports fan. So I can say, hi, this is my husband, Brian. Like Brian, Brian gets excited. He doesn't care about like all the other stuff
Let me tell you something, Rachel.
that goes on. He gets excited.
Brian wasn't excited to meet Chris Paul. Brian was excited to be there. Okay.
Here you go. 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 But no, Brian being such a sports fan, specifically basketball, cool. that was fun for him. And then we went to Soho House, and that's when we saw Praz. And
nah, bro. Shout out Praz, man. There's a lot of stuff going on. We haven't covered it, but there's a lot of stuff going on. But as a sports fan, meeting Chris Paul, that would be amazing. That's one of the 5 best point guards of all time, I would say. Chris Paul, best of his generation for sure. Brian's huge basketball fan, is awesome. Praz is like, I'd have had some questions. I just want to know what's going on because either they trying to frame Praz and put all kinds of stuff on Praz's head that he didn't do, or Praz is like Ethan Hunt. There's a lot of stuff going on, man. Do you know who Ethan Hunt is? Hold on. Wait. Donnie, it's time to play a game. Rachel, name that movie character's film. Very organically, this game will be played whenever a movie or movie character comes up organically in the Higher Learning podcast. Okay.
So Ethan Hunt is a character in a movie.
Ethan Hunt is a character in a movie. Let's use context clues. I said that Praz was like Ethan Hunt, and Praz is sort of caught up in some international espionage. That is your clue.
Okay. Born Identity?
You're close. Okay?
I really thought I had it.
You're close. You're close. Okay? You're very close. It's not the Born Identity, but think something close.
Mission Impossible?
Oh! Yes!
Yes!
Rachel, that counts. Rachel is 1 for 1.
No, I got the mattress thing.
Oh,
I'm 2 for 2.
That right there still blows my fucking mind. So Rachel is 2 for 2. It's only when it comes up organically. We're not going to do this all the time. But Rachel, we kicked it to Rachel, and she was up to the task. She's 2 for 2. 2 for 2. Donnie, did you think Rachel was going to get that one, Ethan Hunt?
I did, but I didn't think she was going to get it as quickly as she did. You surprised me in the second try.
Born Identity was a good guess, though.
It was.
Come on. That was good. That was good.
That's right there. I mean, it's right there. Born Identity is great.
But then on Saturday, I went to a housewives party. It's the all-white party that they do. And I saw, tell me to tell you hello, Anne Marie and Marcellus Wiley.
Oh.
Because Anne Marie's on the show.
Wait, what?
So Marcellus should be on the show too. Yes. She's going to be on the newest season of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Sel and Anne-Marie on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills? Wow.
They were there. They were filming.
Wow.
You didn't know this?
I did not know this. Shout out Sel, man. Look, when you said all white party, I wasn't sure. But this was for the show. Okay, I think I saw pictures of this. My friend.
Yes, it was on SoFi. It was on the field.
You were there with my friend that I met at your house that time. What's her name? The white lady.
Katie.
Katie was there. You were there with Katie. Katie's great.
And Kelvin told me to say hello to you.
Who's that?
I believe the last name is Washington, but
Kelvin
I could
Washington.
be messing this up.
K-Dub, Kelvin Washington. Know him well.
He said I would forget, and I did not forget.
Kelvin Washington is a great sports guy. He's a great guy, period. He's a really, really talented on-air and radio personality. He was on ESPN, and now he is on one of the networks. Kelvin Washington, yeah, he used to work with Marcellus at ESPN Radio, and then he moved on. Kelvin's great. It's great. You had a fun time.
I had a fun Saturday, and I paid for it Sunday.
Did they have hot dogs at the event on Saturday?
Why? Is that the food that you mentioned? Honestly, we ate before, so I didn't even see what food. I'm pretty sure there were not hot dogs. I'm pretty sure there were not.
What foods did you eat this weekend? Let's check in on the foods that you ate. What did you eat?
Wings.
Okay. That's what I like.
I had sushi for dinner on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then I cooked grilled pork chops on Sunday, which is like broccoli and rice.
You are like, pigs see you coming and they're like, it's Ted Bundy. Like you hell on a pig, man. Like it's like pigs worldwide. Like if you go to Babe's house right now, it's a picture of you up there. Like, don't let this person in. You hell on a motherfucker.
But the crazy thing is, I love pigs.
I
love pigs, but not like just to eat them. I've always wanted a pet pig.
No, I don't trust
Maybe
you.
that was, I was.
I don't trust you with a pet pig.
What'd you do this weekend? What did you do? Get off me.
What did I do this weekend? I watched the fight, Haney Lomachenko on.
Oh, you were excited about that.
Really great fight.
Okay.
Devin Haney, great young man, great family, great champion, got the victory. I thought Lomachenko won the fight. It's a close fight. I thought Lomo edged him out, but can't call it a robbery because it was a very close and competitive fight. So congratulations to Team Haney and everybody over there. I do think that Lomachenko won the fight. Also, I was able to watch NBA basketball. And from coast to coast, two blue bloods in the NBA are hemorrhaging. That is my Lakers and then the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics just straight up gave up. I gotta be honest with you. The Boston Celtics just gave up. It was one of the most embarrassing things I think I've ever seen down 0-2 coming back home to Miami. Shout out to Brian, who must be ecstatic over what's going on. The Boston Celtics looked Jimmy Butler in the face, into the abyss of Jimmy Butler, and then nothing stared back. They gave nothing. The Lakers are losing to Jokic and to Jamal Murray, and to a team that seems to be a little bit more talented and better coached. But the Celtics are just cucking out. Seriously. The Celtics are just cucking out. It's tough. But boxing, basketball, I worked out both days. I worked out Saturday, went and boxed a little bit. Then boom, boom, bang. And then Sunday, I went to the gym again. You know, I'm losing weight like gangbusters. It's a lot of fun. It's
great.
Yeah, you like it. Yeah, you think it's great.
I like it because you like it. I like it for you.
Yeah. So, you know, just a chill weekend. Me and Kalika hung out. We watched Titans. You ever watch that show, Titans?
What's that on?
It's about the Teen Titans on HBO Max. We finished Titans. I watched Succession. Succession, one of the greatest shows ever made. If Succession can stick to the land.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Help me. Because I watch it and I enjoy it. Now, I will say a lot of it goes over my head. Like when they start talking, I'm like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. When they like get into like the thick of things with the TV and stuff, and they're talking about the business, I'm like, I don't know what y'all are talking about. Right. I really don't. I gotta admit that. It goes over my head. But I've always feel like I'm chasing Succession. I'm chasing for it to be as amazing as everybody keeps saying. The acting is out of this world. But I guess it just never hits that. I would never describe it as one of the greatest shows.
Yeah. I see what
I didn't watch last night though.
Do you know what I compare Succession to? Tell you a little
What?
story real quick. One day we're at TMZ. It's like Christmas. So, it was Christmas or a holiday's coming. Everybody's leaving. But some of the more entrenched staff stays around to make sure stuff is going up. Other people might be leaving or going. I might stick around for a little bit longer. Some other people might stick around a little bit longer, just shoot the shit a little bit. And Evan Rosenblum, who is one of the producers there at TMZ, one of the big three of TMZ. So now moved on, but he was there. We'll always have like a different scotch or something. Beckerman would have like a different scotch. One day my seniority had got up to a point where it was like, come in the room and we'll have a drink. It's Christmas. I have a little drink. And before we leave, like a little drink, just a little shot of the scotch or whatever. It's like, hey, it's Christmas. We're about to go. Nobody's getting drunk at TMZ. Let's have a little shot of scotch. Drink the scotch.
Okay.
Everybody's looking at the scotch like, oh, this is good. I love a piece of scotch. God damn it. I tell you what, you're looking at these white guys, you're thinking to yourself, this is what, when we were outside working, this is what they did. They sit in there and drank a piece of scotch, and like, you're drinking the scotch, you're like, should I be doing this? But they love it because for people who can appreciate the scotch, it's the best scotch.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best. But I couldn't appreciate it. I just don't like the way it tastes. For whatever reason, I'm not refined enough. I'm not whatever enough. And I'm not saying that people that don't like Succession aren't refined, but I'm just saying that like, it is kind of like a fine scotch or a great wine that it's so specific to the connoisseur that the connoisseurs think it's amazing. And some people just like don't fuck with it as much. And there's a lot of art that's like that, right? There's a lot of art that's like, hey, if you're really into this specific type of thing, then you're like, this is the best of it I've ever seen. Caviar. People will go, Jesus Christ, it's the greatest fucking caviar I've ever had before in my life. And I eat the caviar. I'm like, yo, y'all just gonna sit around and y'all gonna put this shit on the cracker and just down this shit, huh? It's the type of shit y'all like. It's just not for me. You know what I mean? And so I could see how the show is kind of not for everyone. But if you are somebody who can like, when I watch Succession, I rewind the show 5 or 6 times while I'm watching it, just to rewatch a scene.
Oh,
like just to rewatch a scene. Like there's a scene where Logan's eulogy has to be given, and there are
I haven't seen it.
I'm just saying, there's 2 different actors that speak at Logan's funeral, and it's so fucking well done that I'll just rewatch it and like rewind it and watch it again. Rewind it and watch it again. There's a scene between the 2 people at the end of the show where the woman is kind of breaking down emotionally. The man is talking, and I'm like, look at what they're doing. And I can get why there are people that it's not as accessible to them. And that doesn't mean anything about anybody's taste level or nothing. It's just not for everybody.
No, I think we just consume things in a different way.
Yeah.
I get that. We consume it. Like I can appreciate what the acting is, but like, I think for the first 2 seasons, I really liked.
Yeah.
And it's been the last 2 that haven't hit me the same way. But I still watch. And I watch the after, because honestly, that helps me understand it better. But
to be honest with you, The Wire was like that. Like, everyone loves The Wire now.
But I got The Wire.
But when The Wire was out, a lot of people were like, I don't understand. There's a lot of characters. It's very in the weeds. And it's come to be appreciated more, like, over time by the masses, but by the people that were watching the show while it was on. You have to really super, like, commit to it. It made you commit. The Wire's still an amazing show.
Yeah.
My favorite show of all time. All right. Later on in the show, we have a very special guest. Highest rapper in the world right now is on Higher Learning. VanVan playing outside every day. Yeah, VanVan, internet sensation, beautiful, young, black child who's taken over, dropping new music. You know, Van to Van, she's going to be on the show with her father, Reggie McConneaughey. It's going to be on there just a little bit later. But before we do that, we have to talk about legacies, their complications, and what it means to celebrate and talk honestly and earnestly about who somebody was while they were on planet Earth. Jim Brown on the other side of this break. Okay, Jim Brown passed away.
Mm-hmm.
He was 87 years old. And best known for two things. Number one, Jim Brown was known for being an absolute force on the football field. One of the greatest athletes in the history of modern American sports. Was an all-world football player. A lot of people don't know an all-world lacrosse player as well. He was one of the greatest lacrosse players of all time as well. He was just an absolute beast. Those that played against him and can contextualize how he ran the football say that there's never been a running back quite like Jim Brown. But also, in his time, he was a fierce advocate for black people. And one of the athletes that during that time was very active in the civil rights era. Okay. Mm-hmm. Was at the famous Cleveland Summit for Muhammad Ali when some of the brightest and biggest stars in the sports world came together to lend support to Muhammad Ali after he had been, his title had been taken, stripped from him, and he had run afoul of the law for his refusal to be inducted into the military during the Vietnam War. But that's not all that Jim Brown is being remembered for. He's also being remembered for his treatment of women, which, if you knew anything about Jim Brown, was a narrative that followed him in his life. Some of the allegations that he had as far as abuse against women, how he handled women, what he thought of women, and how the women that interacted and intersected with Jim Brown in his life, how safe they were and how they viewed him. Had you heard these things about Jim Brown?
I did not know it went this far back and that there were this many alleged incidents. I knew it in a very general sense. So I'll be honest with you, in reading all of it, I was taken aback a little bit because I don't think it's as well known. I mean, I think you more so have to know about the life of Jim Brown. Like, to me, he's always been this larger than life force. You know, you watch these old videos of him, knew about his work in the civil rights movement and how he was for the advancement of Black people and Black empowerment and pushing Black economics and wanting to see Black people better themselves, the betterment of Black people. And so he just seemed to be this huge force in a positive way for Black people. So I knew of a couple of things, but to see this laundry list of things was shocking for me. Mm. And even knowing that we were going to talk about him today and his legacy, something that you said as you were introing this topic, it's like, do you talk about everything? Is it as you're remembering someone since they've passed away? Because it makes me think of the interview that Gayle King had, where she mentioned, was she talking to Lisa Leslie?
Talking to Lisa Leslie, yeah.
And she mentioned, this is after Kobe had passed, she has to sit down with Lisa Leslie, and she asked Lisa Leslie a question about Kobe Bryant and past allegations against him. And people were upset. And people were mad at Gayle, and they felt like that's not how we should be remembering him. We should remember him for all the great things he's done and not talk about him in a negative way. Do you do that here, even if it is a part of somebody's story?
I think with the Gayle thing, Gayle was, I love Gayle King, love her. Gayle, I think a lot of people were uncomfortable with Gayle pressing Lisa Leslie The specificity of that was, had Kobe ever talked to you about blah, blah, blah? Had you ever talked to Kobe about blah, blah, blah? And Lisa Leslie in that situation is going, well, no. And Gail is asking, because Lisa Leslie and Kobe are friends. And Gail is asking, well, he's your friend. Oh, why? And she's like, no, he's not. And so, no, he didn't. We never talked about it. Things that we talked about were this and this and that and that and that. So I think a lot of people felt like Gail was pushing or trying to fish something out of Lisa Leslie that Lisa Leslie wasn't there to give.
But people were mad at Gail for even bringing it up in the interview too.
I think people were mad at her for bringing it up for sure, but I think there's a way to talk about these things. And in particular, in that point, and this point as well, that's a little bit different than trying to get somebody's friend to talk about like whatever. And I don't have any problem.
And
go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I don't have any problem necessarily with Gail asking, but the people that were upset about it felt like she was trying to put Lisa Leslie in a place that Lisa Leslie didn't want to be in, and she was using kind of what Kobe had done to kind of get something out of Lisa Leslie, and then it looked like she looked a little sensational to people. I don't know that I necessarily agree, but that's the reason. Like it, I don't know that the conversation about Kobe and his past were necessarily off limits, because I saw that litigated everywhere when he died. But I think there's a way to do it. A lot of people felt like Gail didn't do it in a way that was nutritious.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't think it was off limits either. And I don't necessarily think it's off limits in discussing Jim Brown too. And also just because of later in life, him aligning himself with former President Donald Trump. So I think those are certain things that are more recent that people remember. I don't think it's off limits either, but I would be lying if I didn't think about that as we were going to have this conversation. And I think you can think about everything. And I don't think it takes away from him wanting the betterment of Black people, but you also have to talk about the other things as well.
So we should say that Jim Brown's situations, he stood trial in 1965 for sexual assault. He was found not guilty. In 1968, he was accused of throwing a model from a balcony, and she claimed she tripped. My mother never forgot that. Never forgot that. I'll tell you who did forget about a lot of this stuff. Me. I forgot. And that's something I'll come to.
I think a lot of people did.
In 1971, he was accused of beating two women and then throwing them down a flight of stairs. Charges were later dropped due to lack of witnesses. In 1971, that same year, accused of, that's a repeat. 1985, he was arrested after assaulting a woman. The charges of rape, sexual battery, and assault, though the charges were dropped. In 1986, he was arrested for allegedly beating his then fiancée. In 1989, in his book, he admitted to slapping women, including the model in 1968 who fell out of the window. In 1999, he was arrested for making terrorist threats against his wife, Monique, as well as vandalism to her property. Of course, Rachel just brought up the fact that there was a shift in political views later on. He supported President Trump and he opposed Colin Kaepernick and his kneeling. So Jim Brown was consistent, it seems like, in one area of his life, which is a problematic relationship with women, and inconsistent in another one, which is advocating for what some Black people feel is the advancement of their people, meaning that opposing Donald Trump and being pro Colin Kaepernick, even though we're not a monolith and people would have different sort of interpretations of how they support both of those different issues. This is what I'll say. I'll say I posted immediately when I heard that he died, rest in peace of Jim Brown, because I legitimately was sad. Like, damn, Jim Brown died. And it's because the narrative of Jim Brown's life, and I left the post up, the narrative of Jim Brown's life isn't the things that we're talking about right now. I think that's interesting. I think the narrative of Jim Brown's life, people don't bring up Donald Trump. People bring up Muhammad Ali and the Cleveland Summit. People don't bring up Colin Kaepernick. They bring up everything that he meant and him being on the Dick Cavett show and going back and forth with the segregationalist Lester Maddox, who I think was the governor of Georgia at that time. Very famous clip of Jim Brown going at it with him. And even in the movie One Night in Miami, in which our friend Aldous Hodge plays Jim Brown, there's a scene in the movie where, Jim Brown confronts somebody and he's a victim of racism. So when you look at that movie, those guys are heroes that are in that film. When you talk about Sam Cooke,
Mm-hmm.
Jim Brown, Ali, and Malcolm X, those guys are all heroes in that movie. So I think it's incredibly important to talk about somebody's life in a holistic way. Incredibly important. I remember watching an interview with Raquel Welch way back in the day where she talks about her experience working with Jim Brown and how she didn't enjoy it very much. you know what I mean?
Oh, is that what she said?
Yeah. I can't remember exactly what she said, but this is what she said about Jim Brown as an actor. She said that, I'm going to fuck the quote up, but I remember watching it and she talked about the fact that, to be an actor, sometimes you have to be, you have to access like a feminine side of you or a softer side of you. And Jim Brown was incapable of that. And that might have held him back because it was for a time he was trying to be a Hollywood movie star. And that might have held him back because he certainly could never do that. And she goes, as a matter of fact, he was very rough and it was not easy to work with him. And she had all these things to say. And I remember watching this on cable and watching her talk about him. And I'm going, well, he was a kid, right? Well, she didn't like him very much. My mother goes, well, Jim Brown threw a woman out of a window or something like that. She told me about this way back in the day. But because the narrative of his life isn't littered with this stuff, I actually forgot about all of this stuff. And I think it's important.
Doesn't that say a lot?
It does. That's the story. The story is how easily, and look, I don't think it's wrong if people want to remember Jim Brown for what he did on the football field. I don't think it's wrong. Like my hero eyes, my hero lights went off. Oh my God, hero. My dad told me this guy is a hero. He's a hero. My hero lights went off. And so I jumped right on it. I don't think it's wrong for people to go, Jim Brown was a fantastic fucking running back. And there were times where he met a specific standard for his people and did these things, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But you have to talk about it all. You have to, or else you're complicit in glossing over some of the more really important and notable parts of somebody's life that doesn't fit into the narrative that society has crafted for them. So I don't think it's wrong at all to talk about it in the case with anyone. I think there's a time and a place. I know, like, you know what I mean? And I don't think that you have to wait a long time, but somebody dies, you go look what an asshole they were. Just the southern part of me is like, But I think in discussing someone, you have got to talk about this stuff because we don't want carbon copies and repeats of all of this.
Right. And you don't want to be a revisionist, right? And only paint him in one way that he was when he had a repeated history of physical abuse towards women and even admitted it. Let's not, he wrote a book and he admitted to putting his hands on women, including the model that fell out of the window. Right. I'm not saying, that was inconclusive as to how she fell out off the balcony or out the window or whatever, but he did admit that he put his hands on her. So I totally think it's fair game. And I do think it's important. And I think it's really important to highlight the fact that you said, like I said, he was always this larger than life. For you, figure. For you, he was like a hero type. And it's fine to see him that way, but I think it's important to focus on how easy it is to forget when there's violence against women. And I think that that's just the society that we live in, especially when you're talking about the 60s, 70s, 80s. We didn't talk about it the way that we do now. We just brush it under the rug. Not as almost as if it's okay, but it's just easy. We just forget about women. We don't listen to women in that way. And so out of respect of, the women who went through this, other women who have suffered abuse at the hands of a man, it's important that you talk about these things and you don't brush it under the rug because it is a part of his story. I'm not saying that people can't change. I'm not saying that he didn't do better, but there's no denying that he had this history of physical assault against women.
And to continue to have the conversation, you have to continue to have the conversation. And that means if somebody has these sort of issues in their past, in their life, that you talk about it. Because you don't want to get into a situation 30 or 40 years from now, or even in present tense, in the contemporary sense, to where it's like you there's somebody else who you're sacrificing the ways in which they do harm for the fact that they inspire you in some other way. So anybody who's talking about we shouldn't discuss the totality of who Jim Brown is, or what his life was. Yes, he founded the Black Economic Union. Yes, the America I Can program. He founded those things, but there are also other parts of his life that societally we need to fix. And the list of things that you just saw, and the ways in which, those things reflected in his life, the frequency in which they did, they beg a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of stuff going on there. So you gotta discuss it. So there you go.
Yep.
Rachel, the race for president just got a little faster.
It got faster?
Yeah, because a black man's in it now. Ooh.
Don't do that.
What? Don't do what? Black people run fast. We do.
No. That's not what I'm talking about. We do. No, a black man is in it. The man that you're referring to, that's not how he wants to be. He doesn't want to be introduced that way first. He wants to be.
What does he want?
He does not want to be introduced as a black Republican. He wants to be a Republican who happens to be black.
So he doesn't want to be
his words.
He doesn't want to be a stepfather. He wants to be a father who stepped up. Tim Scott. Shut up, Tim Scott. Do you know, I read an interesting thing over the weekend about malaria and sickle cell. Why black people might be prone to sickle cell. West African black people might be prone to sickle cell. It has to do with malaria. Okay. And why malaria coincides worldwide with high instances of sickle cell. And also, an offshoot from that, why malaria, sickle cell, and all of that stuff might come together to explain why West Africans have such fast twitch muscles. Some of it was scientifically verifiable. Some of it was fringe, but still interesting. I'll send the information over. Now we're talking about running fast as blacks. I got into it. I went to a deep hole about malaria. You guys look it up. Malaria, sickle cell, fast twitch stuff. Look it up. Some of it, fringe, whatever. Some of it, the malaria, sickle cell connection, very interesting. Very, very interesting the way the human body adapts to fight off a pathogen. Whatever. So Tim Scott probably can't run anyway. But look, he's in the he's in the presidential race. He announced it. He's the only black Republican senator. He was in his hometown of North Charleston, South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Also a very nice place. North Charleston, South Carolina. He filed papers last week with the Federal Election Commission. Give me a little audio, Donnie.
For those of you who wonder if America is a racist country, take a look at how people come together. All of God's people come together. Black ones and white ones and red ones and brown ones working together because love, unconditional love, binds hearts together. We are not defined by the color of our skin. We are defined by the content of our character. And if anyone tells you anything different, they're a lion.
This echoes what he said back in 2021.
I'm gonna get sick of hearing that.
Yeah, when he was talking about America not being a racist country. We don't have to play that because he essentially said the same thing. Right. He's in it. He's got an uphill battle. He's polling right now in the single digits. But we knew this moment was coming. He had been hinting to it. And now he's finally in. The chocolate has entered the sundae. It's time for the swirl. Tim Scott, take on the world. He is running for president. Rachel, how do you feel? Give me that Geechee shit from South Carolina, Rach. Tim Scott, He's here to make a difference. He's optimistic about running for president. Rachel, what you got?
I can't stand you. You ask me how I feel nothing. Tim Scott. I said it after I listened to that clip. I'm going to get tired of hearing that. I'm going to get tired. You don't want, what did I say? He said he doesn't want to be known as a Black Republican. He wants to be known as a Republican that happens to be Black. That is him announcing his presidency, and the whole thing was about race, as if the whole world was represented right there on that stage in that audience. And that right there defines that we don't have a race problem. I'm going to get tired of hearing that from Tim Scott. The reason I say I feel nothing is because I'm not expecting much from Tim Scott. This is what I'm expecting to get. He seems like a really nice person. And I said he seems like a nice person, but he seems like a person who has certain morals and values. He's very religious. And that's what he seems to be hanging his hat on and what he seems to be relying on that's going to take him to winning the primary and then ultimately running on behalf of the Republican Party. And I just don't see that getting Timmy up in the polls. I don't see the numbers changing for him in that way. When you're going against a Trump, and you're going against a DeSantis, who we're also expecting to announce soon, they're polarizing. And I don't think kill him with kindness is going to take Tim Scott, far. Now, it also has been announced that he has a lot of rich people backing him up. The billionaires, what's his name? Larry Ellison. Did I get that right?
Oracle?
You know, I'm bad with names. Oracle is talking about donating up to 8 figures to back Tim Scott. I listened to a podcast today that said that Tim Scott has enough money right now to be on TV every day up until Iowa. He has a lot of money behind him, but money doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to take you far. Look at Bloomberg. So I think there are going to be a lot of people who align with him because they do want someone who's positive, someone who, has these strong values, someone who doesn't, who seems to be above it all and not get into the thick of it. But I think he's going to have to actually have a chance against a DeSantis and a Trump. But I just don't see it going far. I don't really know, other than him being conservative and wanting to stick to that and aligning himself with conservative values. I feel like I don't know that much about. I'm curious. I'm actually intrigued. Let me take this back. I'm intrigued to see what he's like on a debate stage. I want to see him get his hands a little dirty because I don't think he can maintain what he's doing right now. He won't last long.
I want to drop one more piece of audio in. He was talking to Van Jones back in the day. And a couple of 3 years ago, something like that. He was talking about the meetings, some of the talks he has with President Trump around not just race, but other things. And I want to play this for you guys. And then on the other side of it, I want to talk a little bit about who I think Tim Scott is and what I think his candidacy means for the Republicans and for the country.
You've had this conversation and some conversations like this with President Trump.
Yes.
How do you judge whether you're making progress there? Some people want you to kind of be the racial Trump whisperer in some way, you know? How do those conversations go?
They're hard, they're painful, they're uncomfortable to sit in the Oval Office and have a conversation with the president about things that you strongly disagree about. He didn't change his perspective. I certainly can't change my perspective. Mine's educated by my experience, so that helps me. But the way it closed, I thought, gave me reasons to be hopeful. It closed with, Tim, I don't see what you see. What can I do to make things better? That was a shocking response. I was surprised after the conversation that his response was, help me see a better way. And my answer is always not for him to speak about issues in a way that he doesn't sincerely believe, but for him to actually do something. And our opportunity zones was the outcome of help me help other people, Tim. And I said, support my opportunity zone legislation.
if you guys aren't familiar with opportunity zone legislation and opportunity zone stuff, that is something that Tim Scott was a huge proponent of. Simply put, designated areas in a community or in a city. And what opportunity zones allow people to do is take capital gains taxes that they might have and then reinvest them into these opportunity zones. So if you make $1 billion deal and there's $200 million or whatever it would be, it wouldn't be 200 million, whatever it would be, of capital gains tax. What you can do with the opportunity zones is you can take that money and invest it into a specific community without having to pay that capital gains. And what that is supposed to do is revitalize those areas. Now, it was a very hot thing when it was happening some years ago. A lot of people got behind it. I even know some people that were involved with it. But the more you litigated it, the more it leads to what I think is rampant gentrification. You have a lot of people that don't have any stake in those areas that are trying to essentially skin on their taxes by investing it into some of the places. I'm not saying it's a completely net negative. I'm saying that there are some cultural concerns with opportunity zones legislation, and it does not, to me, adequately address the needs of communities where it's supposed to impact the people. I think a couple of things are interesting about that. Number one, who Tim Scott is. Tim Scott has done some things that he thinks are relevant on race. He sponsored the Emmett Till anti-lynching bill, right? And you would say, hey, that's awesome. It's awesome to get anti-lynching on the docket. We need to get rid of lynching. We can all agree that that's bad.
Yeah.
That to me is the type, and I'm just talking about specifically in terms of Black people. Tim Scott has a whole political agenda and platform that doesn't have anything to do with Black people. That's the kind of diet Black shit that works over there that we should be wary about not working at all. I'm not saying that having an anti-lynching bill in the name of Emmett Till is a bad thing. Of course it's not a bad thing. Anything that makes lynching a federal hate crime is, of course, positive. The problem is, on the backside of that, you have situations that affect Black Americans to a much larger degree, which is the lynching, the state-sponsored lynching that happens on behalf of the police department. And you have a gentleman like Tim Scott who put forth his idea of a police reform package, but omitted qualified immunity, which most people that are involved in those situations, not all, but most, would say is the most important part of being able to hold police departments and individual officers responsible for malconduct. So you ask, do you care about the lives of Black people or do you not? Because if you do, then you hold police nationwide responsible for that. Okay. I asked around about Tim. I'm very hard on Tim, but I asked around to people. I say, is Tim Scott a MAGA Republican? He's not a MAGA Republican. That seems like it will work for Tim. It seems like there are some people in the party that would love a nice looking Black feller who can,
Of course,
who would not be aligned with the wacko fringe of the party, to talk positively and dynamically about the fabric of America. And on a debate stage, Rachel, he might do very well. He might do very well in contrast to some of the wackadoo stuff that you see. Now, I don't think that that's necessarily true. I think that the party is too far gone. But I do think that there are people who believe that Tim Scott's optimism and the genteel way in which he carries himself can kind of obfuscate the real intention of his politics, which is to maintain big business corporate interests and to, in my opinion, hamper the government's ability to make fundamental change in Americans' lives. And, you know, he's a conservative, so that's what he believes. But I think he's a Republican for another time. I think right now, what what you'd have to do if you were Tim Scott to win is you'd have to take a dull, rusty butter knife and cut Donald Trump's balls off. You'd have to take Donald Trump's strength from him. Like, nobody is winning the Republican nomination if they do not take it from Donald Trump. The people, the constituency of the right is not going to give you a mandate to go out and get the nomination to be the president. You have to take it. He's incapable.
Right.
Nikki Haley's incapable. The entire field of people, Asa Hutchinson, Larry Elder, Sununu, all of these people, they're incapable of doing that because they're capable of sticking up to the bully. So I don't know what Tim Scott's candidacy really means. You know, I don't know. I don't know what it means.
I think he would say he's, even though he's more, would you refer to him as like a Tea Party?
He's kind Republican? Of not necessarily what he's going for. Look, you say he's not a I say he's not a MAGA Republican. He was with Trump just unreal percentage of the time. But he's not a MAGA Republican in the embodiment of what that means as far as anti-DEI. He does throw around that woke term. He's skirting the line of it. But I mean, to that point, I wouldn't call him a Tea Party Republican either. He's kind of more of a throwback to the compassionate conservatism angle that they tried to play some years ago. He's a little bit more on that train than he is on any of the other stuff. But very religious. And I feel like that's a little bit more of like when you hammer that conservative and the religion, I think, like, to me, that fits a little bit more in the Tea Party. That's why I asked. But he has said, to your point about aligning himself with Trump, you haven't really seen him stand up or come after Trump, which is why I say I'm intrigued by seeing him on a debate stage, because I wonder which side he'll stick to. But he has said before that he agrees with a lot of Trump's messaging. He just believes the messenger gets it wrong. Yeah. It's the messenger. So he's right there with him. I think, though, because Trump is so polarizing and extreme, and so is DeSantis, that he does see himself as more of a moderate Republican and the voice of those people, which is why you do see the Oracle guy putting his support and money behind him. Elon Musk has shown a little bit of support towards him, or like some of the things that he's done. So I think you'll see that. But as far as rallying the base, I just don't think, when you say he's for a different time, because I don't think that we're in a nice era right now. Kindness is not going to get you far, specifically in that party. So we'll see. It'll be interesting. All right, VanVan.
Maybe he's going to surprise us.
Maybe. I don't fuck with
VanVan. Yeah, let's lighten it up.
VanVan playing outside every day. Next on Higher Learning.
My name is VanVan. I'm playing outside every day. Yeah.
This is a big moment for Higher Learning, the podcast. Huge moment.
It is.
A little while ago, I posted on my Instagram that I had found somebody who I felt like was the hardest rapper out. The most lyrical, the most influential, the style, the dance, the moves, all of it. It's all in one cute little package. We got VanVan playing outside every day, and her father, Reggie McConneaughey, on the show today. VanVan, Reggie, how y'all doing?
How you doing?
We're amazing. I want to ask VanVan a question real quick. Okay. How you just gonna take my name? I'm Van. I'm Van, and now people are saying that VanVan is your name and not my name no more. How you just gonna take my name?
That's right. Laugh about it. So cute. Oh, VanVan, we're so excited to have you and your dad here. I don't even know where to start. You have taken the world by storm with your videos, your social media, your rapping. We just saw you on stage. When did you know that you wanted to rap?
When I was 2 years old.
2 years old. You're 4 now, right? When do you turn 5? November. Okay, when I was 4, I was playing outside every day. But that's it. I wasn't rapping. I wasn't on stage. I am so impressed by you. 2 years old, and you knew you wanted to rap.
It's amazing.
And Dad, how did you know to tap into that? Because I feel like my parents would have said, go play back outside.
Man, honestly, COVID happened. It was very tragic for a lot of people. But for me, I was able to tap into her gift by being home because I'm a teacher. So I was able to be home.
Oh.
And, we just kind of developed this bond. She was watching movies, like learning lines and dancing. And her memory, like she could spell her name when she was 2 years old. So that's how I knew. My wife, I was at work one day. I'm not going to be long. I was at work one day and my wife was like, yo, I can't believe it. I'm like, what? She sent me the video. She was spelling her name. I was like, yo, that's crazy. And at that moment, that's when I knew her memory was top tier.
So she's a genius too.
The genius too. So VanVan, the line that's taken over the world is that you're playing outside every day. Okay. So when we say every day that you're playing outside, are we saying 7 days a week you play outside? Are you playing outside from Monday to Friday? How much playing are you doing? And when you play outside, like what do you do? What do you play, VanVan?
I play truck. I play with my dogs. And I play with stuff.
You ride the scooter?
I ride my scooter, my bike. And
You ride your
how to ride.
So do you think that everybody should be playing outside every day?
Yes.
VanVan, what do your friends say about your rap career? And you got acting coming up too. What do your friends say?
I do not know.
So recently you were on stage. I saw that. You had the crowd going wild. Were you nervous or scared to get out on the stage in front of everyone, or was it fun?
I was definitely nervous.
Dad, how did y'all help her for her first performance? Like, how did y'all help her that she was nervous?
Man, I just give her affirmation all the time. Like, you can do this. You don't be scared. I know it happens. Because I'm going to be honest, I was nervous. So I know if a 39-year-old man is nervous, I know my 4-year-old daughter was nervous, and I didn't want to take that feeling from her. But I just told her, like, you can conquer this. Like, you conquered so much at 4 years old so far. You can do this. Like, this is easy to you.
Well, it worked because she was rocking it on stage. VanVan, who are some of your favorite performers? Who do you look up to?
I look up to Lathan and Young Dylan.
Okay, Lathan, Young Dylan.
Okay. Who would you like to work with? Would you like to work with like Beyonce? Would you like to work with Rihanna? Would you like who do you like? If you could be in anybody's video, go ahead.
I would like to work with everybody.
Oh, she already media trained. She already media trained. She not even. Hold on, that's crazy, bro. That's
crazy.
I would like to work with everybody that raps.
I love it.
So I only got
She's
one more
great.
question. I only got one more question.
Go ahead.
Okay.
And it's gonna be kind of serious. So Reggie, this is more for you.
Okay.
This is a very powerful image, bro. A beautiful, young, black girl. So joyous, so wholesome, having a good time, being buoyed, supported, and protected by her father. Hearing you in the background, egging her on, pouring into her. Girl dad to the extreme. Tell us a little bit about what you guys, more than how it's caught on and more than how it's being responded to. Tell us a little bit about what you guys hope to portray out there in terms of that imagery.
Man, just family, man. Like bringing that family status back. You know, knowing you can talk to your kids, man. I'm a teacher, so I'm big on talking to your kids and having that relationship, knowing what's going on with them. And that's one thing I cherish, like just talking to my daughter every day when I come home, asking her how her day is, you know, asking her what she got going on, asking her what she like to do. And I'm telling you, we never imagined this in a million years. Like we was just having fun. Like we wasn't jumping on the internet to be internet famous. We wasn't trying to be TikTok or Instagram famous. We were just dad and daughter having fun. That's all we've been doing the whole time.
It's really exciting to see, as Van's laid out, the example that you two are, but then that you're just having a blast with it. Tell us what you've got coming up next, because you got a few things in the works.
Man, you know, she got a movie coming out that's premiering in July. The crossover Revenge with Jamal Woolard and Clifton Powell.
Wow.
Bobby Brown's an executive producer.
Okay.
So, you know, she got a part in that movie. So, you know, it's just a lot of stuff that she got on the table right now. And I can't really say just yet, but just know like things that I wouldn't even have imagined is on the table right now.
Amazing. Well,
just the beginning.
Just the beginning. Well, I want to ask, actually I got one more question. VanVan, I want to ask you about something. Could I get on a song with you? It could be Van. The three of us together on a song, playing outside every day. We could play around different just think about it. I don't know if I have to send you a demo tape or something. Think about putting me on a record. How does that sound? Would you like to do a song with me?
Oh, she's so nice. She's so sweet.
All right, you guys. You have music out right now. Reggie, go ahead and tell people about that, and then we can let you guys go.
Man, we got Playing Outside every day. You can find it on every streaming site. We just want people to listen to it, have a good time with it. It's a song for everybody. We just want people to have a good time. Just something real quick. Her TikTok is down. We don't know if it's going to be back up, but we're still on Instagram. We're still on Twitter. So
why's your TikTok down?
They said it's bad for age verification. So I had to put this up today. I did everything, and hopefully it gets
TikTok banned VanVan. I'm calling out right now to TikTok. This is a black father and a beautiful black child that have organically built a fan base and an interest in some of the most wholesome, smile rendering content I've ever seen. There is absolutely zero reason for this TikTok account to be down. This is the reason for TikTok, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, hashtag free VanVan. Bring the TikTok back. And if we don't get answers this week, we're going to start putting some pressure. We're going to have TikTok playing outside. All right? I don't like to hear that. Free VanVan. Okay. VanVan, Reggie, we are so excited that you guys came on Higher Learning. We're so excited
Yeah.
for everything that you're going to be able to do. I think so much is coming in y'all's future, and it's good to see that you guys have the bond that you do. Thank you for joining us today on the show.
Man, we appreciate y'all.
No problem. All right. Bye-bye,
Thank
y'all.
you.
Okay. Real quick. We're not going to go into it too much. We're going to wait for a little bit more of the developments. The debt ceiling talks are going over. Look, going on right now. You got 10 days left to reach a deal or default. In case you guys don't know what the debt ceiling is, the United States has a ceiling on the amount of debt we're allowed to owe other countries. Normally when we get up to that level, we raise the debt. If we don't raise the debt, we default. The ramifications of defaulting are pretty outstanding in terms of our bonds worldwide not being trusted anymore. The healthcare system, what it could do here. The Republicans are playing hardball. They're using it as a political bargaining chip. Biden needs to deal this week in order for it to pass before June 1st. So they need to make it happen. We're going to talk a little bit more about the ramifications of this on Thursday. What'll happen on Friday. What'll happen if no debt ceiling compromise is met. But just know, the Republicans are always ready to play Russian roulette with your way of life in order to get what they want. All right. Shemar Moore, do you like him?
I'm indifferent. I don't have an issue with Shemar Moore.
Let me tell you, he was the man in the
Yeah,
90s.
he's cool.
He was the man. I'll tell you, he was the man. He was.
I'd say even into the 2000s, early 2000s, he
so?
was. Yeah.
They were
He was
so
on Criminal Minds too. He was been the man for a while.
So he was in the audience for a comedian named Matt Rife's performance at the Ontario Improv. And it went off the rails. Donnie, play the audio.
I'm Shemar Moore. I told him when I got here. I've been watching him on YouTube. And I'm meeting him for the first time tonight. I'm seeing him live in person, like a lot of us, I'm sure. For the first time, but I've been watching him, and me and my girl, my baby mama. And my girl comes to me and she's like, Shemar, you're the sexiest motherfucker in the world. You're the father of my daughter. But I want to fuck Matt right. Check this out. We gonna go meet the motherfucker, but you ain't gonna fuck. But the reason I'm here is because I like seeing motherfuckers win. I like seeing motherfuckers win. And this young white boy who wants to say nigga so bad because all his friends are black. But he can't say it because he'll get canceled. But when he comes to my house, I'm gonna say, get it out of your system. Nigga. But the reason I'm here is because I've never met this man. I just watched him on YouTube. And I was like, yo, this motherfucker's funny. And he's pretty. And no, but like, pretty people ain't supposed to be funny. Kevin Hart is not pretty. He's short and he's funny. Chris Tucker, motherfucker damn! Okay? Dave Chappelle is rich as fuck. He's not pretty.
True.
I'm pretty, goddammit.
That's People are mad. People are mad for the N-word stuff. People are mad that there seems to be an underlining situation here of this white man is so beautiful and look at all of these ugly, trollish looking Negroes. People are pissed.
I definitely took that from it.
People are pissed, man. People are pissed. Rachel, what do you think?
Did you look at his shirt?
No. What does the shirt say?
The shirt is a skeleton, and it seems to be a woman's head at the crotch area of the skeleton, and the hands are on the head of the woman, and as on top of it, it either says good job or great job.
The skeleton's getting some head?
There's just a lot
I think it says
going
get
on.
a job.
Get a job?
Get a job.
So
yeah.
we have a
says
problem.
get a job?
So you don't want the skeleton to get any dome?
It's just a lot going on.
He's 53
is my
years old.
point.
He's 53 years old.
It's just
Skeleton
a lot.
blowjob shirts. I'm just saying. 53. Come on, my nigga.
You said what?
He's 53 years old. and we in the skeleton blowjob shirts. You know what I'm saying? It's like I don't want to put.
It's
I'm not
so
trying to be.
it's just immature.
It's like
It's immature.
maybe I'm wrong. Maybe if you're Shemar Moore, if Mick Jagger had a skeleton blowjob shirt on, I guess we wouldn't have a problem with it. But I'm just looking at you like skeleton blowjob shirt still, nigga. Like what?
Still.
It always gets to me. I just don't like that. It always gets to me when they get up there and they bend over backward for the white boy shit. You know, it's like, say nigga, my wife wants to fuck you. All of these black guys are ugly. Yo, it seemed like some real self-hating, corny shit going on up there, man.
A lot of it. And it was giving you have a seat at the picnic kind of thing. You have a seat at the table, you have a seat at the picnic.
I like that. That cookout shit.
But I just don't. And then to hear a crowd erupt in laughter, which I could just tell from the laughs, there were a lot of white people in the audience. And to hear them erupt in laughter over him saying, you could come to my house and you can say the N-word. And, it's giving when people are like, I'm not racist. I have black friends. Shemar Moore is like the type of black friend that they're talking about that allows them, my black friends allow me to say the word, or you're cool enough, or you can get to a certain point with your whiteness that you can do things that black people do. I hate that. I don't like that. I don't care if he was drunk or not. It's just, I was not amused by any of it.
Couple of things. Number one, these are my N-word rules with white people. If black people outnumber white people, I'll normally say the N-word in front of white people. Or if it's like, or I'll be boisterous with it. I like to say it, right? But see, if I'm in a room and it's like majority, if you're doing stand-up comedy, maybe that's different. But if I'm in a room or a place that's majority white people, I don't want them to laugh at it. Because you're not supposed to find it funny. It's not for you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't laugh at it. Don't be the cultural use of the word ain't for you to laugh. It's for me to make you feel uncomfortable. It's not even for that. It's just for me to say it because it's me. But like if I'm around people and I feel like they're going to get too much fucking a kick out of it, it kind of makes me feel like a white man's nigga in a room full of white people to be like, nigga. I've done it before.
Yeah, he was.
But I've kind of grown out of it.
You have?
For him, yeah, back when I was at TMZ, it's like I say something to a nigga and I look around and everybody laughing too much. And I feel like Dave on the set of the Chappelle show. I'm like, am I funny? Or are they getting their laughs off at the nigga word? Cause it's like, oh, the word is back. It's reinitiated. Now, I can't say it no more. Now I can't say it no more. I'm gonna say it for you now. Cause now I don't know. Fuck you. I might say something else, whatever. And he was did that kind of double down with watching him because I'm watching him up there and it's like, Kevin Hart is ugly, nigga, all blah, blah, blah. And it's.
He checks all the boxes. If there was a kiss, he checked. He had it all.
And to all of the dope black celebrities of the 90s, the Brian McKnights, the Shemar Moores, could y'all stop laming out, please? God damn, man. This is another thing about social media. We talked about this. Is social media makes it to where we can continue to watch people their whole life. So when they start laming out, we got it in 4K. Could y'all stop laming the fuck out? Just
stop giving them that much credit.
It's facts.
They don't act like they started laming out. This is probably who they always have been. They just waiting for their moment to get caught on camera to showcase it. Shemar didn't wake up like this. He didn't do this because he was drunk. He probably has made these jokes before. This is just probably who he is. They're not starting to lame out.
I don't want to know
That's
it.
who they are.
I don't want to know, but whatever. It's not like a huge big deal, but it's like, God damn, Shemar Moore.
It was annoying. Yeah. It's annoying to see.
Brittney Griner came back. She shout out to BG. She's playing with the Phoenix Mercury in LA. And a couple of things happened. One is that Vanessa Nygaard, the coach of the Phoenix Mercury, wagged her finger at the LA crowd for not selling out for BG. A lot of people were at the game. Kamala Harris was at the game. Paul Gasol was at the game. A lot of people showed up to the game to support BG in her first game back. She plays for Mercury. But, Nygaard thought that they should have sold the game out. I think there were around 10,000 people there. So it wasn't a sellout crowd. And she said LA should have sold out for BG. Audio.
I mean, it was great, but like honestly, come on, LA. Like we didn't sell out the arena for BG. Like I expected more, to be honest, right? Like it was great, it was loud, but how was it not a sellout? How was it not a sellout? But
Rachel, what do you think about this criticism? Fair or foul?
I'm in the middle. I don't know. I mean, I understand why she said it, but I guess that's not a thought that necessarily crossed my mind. I think what people wanted was to see Brittney Griner come home and be here with her family and to be able to, and the reasons that she was over there so that now that she's here, she's safe, she's able to play her sport. I don't know if I equated that with everybody coming out, which funny enough, we almost went to that game, but I don't know if everybody equated that with having a sold out crowd. I don't know. I guess to me, the importance lies on the fact that she is home and she is able to do her thing with her family, with her people. I guess I just didn't see it that way. I would like to see people come to every WNBA game and for there always to be a sellout crowd. And I think that's the bigger conversation. But I guess I was a little surprised. I'm not going to say it's foul, but if I had to lean more towards one or the other, a little foul.
I have an announcement to make. I'm officially a WNBA fan, and I've chosen a team.
Because of this?
Wrong. The season was starting, and me and Kalika were looking at it on the YouTube TV, and they were like, pick a team. WNBA season started, and I was like, this year marks.
Yeah, mine did that too.
Yeah, the team told me. See, that's what people need. So it's like, we picked a team. Obviously, I'm going with the Los Angeles Sparks. Okay. I'm going with the Los Angeles Sparks. In a couple of weeks, I'll know the entire roster. I'm watching every Sparks game. I'm going to go to a couple of Sparks games. WNBA fan Van. Just call me WNBA Van. Okay?
We'll go with you. I have a jersey. We'll have NECA and Chanae on.
Love it. Next year, you know what's going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark are coming into the WNBA. And I want to have a full season under my belt for when Larry Bird and Magic Johnson come into the league and everything will change. So I'm in with the WNBA.
I love this.
In right now.
We'll go to games.
We'll go to games. Fuck, we'll eat a hot dog. You're so fucking anti-hot dog. It's stupid. That makes no sense. You like pork. Get you a pork.
What are you talking about? Hot dog is one of my favorite things to eat.
Is that true?
Yes. What are you talking about?
Okay, so Brittney Griner was back. I watched it. She heard the first shot. Rattled it in. Bing, bing, bing. She talked about the fact that she is doing something different. She's now standing for the national anthem. What?
Before you get into that, what did you think about what the coach said? You said nothing other than you're going to games now. I mean, that you're a fan of the league.
I don't care.
You're indifferent.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's
okay.
like, I don't think.
But you made me care. Go ahead.
I asked you.
Going.
You asked me, and now I'm telling you. See what I'm saying? I don't care. Like I asked you, you're asking me. It's like it's a nothing thing. It's something that coaches say. It's like, when the Denver coach is like, I tell you what, the national media is not fucking talking enough about Jokic. That fucking guy is a really good basketball player. And I'm like, what? I'm like, realize that Kendrick Perkins had to lead a revolt so that Jokic didn't get the MVP. I'm like, what? This is something that coaches do, I come in here every day and I hear all about players and I just never hear about what a good scorer Kevin Durant is. You just never talk about him. And you're like, huh? Well, it's crazy.
Right.
Like we talk about guys who are great athletes, great players, very likable, and you guys never mention Giannis Antetokounmpo. I'm like, oh, what? Yes, they do. This is what coaches do. They like jam shit up. So you know what I mean? Like talk about great athletes, guys who can win Super Bowls, but for some reason, Tom Brady's name is never mentioned in that. Yes, he is, coach. We know you're trying to get your guys fired up, but they talk about it. Okay. But Brittney Griner is now standing for the national anthem. She didn't used to. She used to kneel. Been kneeling for a long time. When asked why she now stands, she gave a very interesting answer. Donnie, sound.
One good thing about, this country is, you have the right to protest. You have the right to speak out, question, challenge, and do all these things. And, what I went through and everything just means a little bit more to me now. Everybody that is, that will not stand or not come out, I totally support them 100%. We're fighting a good cause, and nothing to any of the ladies that choose not to, or anybody. That's our right as an American.
Rachel, this is fascinating stuff to me.
Is it? I can't even imagine what Brittney Griner went through. I can't imagine what those months were like for her. And what we do know is when we did hear from her through, her wife, or maybe it was like an attorney, she felt like the country had turned their back on her. And it didn't look good at times. It didn't look like Brittney Griner was going to come home. And then all of a sudden, she was home. So it's hard for me to speak, anything but support for what her decision is now, because I have no idea what that time for her was like. And if for her, like she said, I'm not knocking anybody who still wants to take a knee or wants to protest the national anthem, but for her specifically, it means something different because what she went through. And at the end of the day, the country that, whose national anthem it is, got her home. Obviously people, speaking out and, constantly saying support Brittney Griner and remembering her and making sure that her name was not forgotten and what she was going through. Obviously put the pressure on the government. But if that's how Brittney Griner feels, that's how she feels. And I don't really have much to say to that because I cannot imagine what she went through.
I think it's fascinating because you have two things. One, obviously Brittney Griner is not going to get up there and say, even though I went through what I went through, I'm still kneeling. It's just a firestorm. It's not going to happen. So let's give Brittney Griner the grace to, let's learn the lesson that people say that I should have learned with Kamala Harris, to where Kamala is not going to say America's a racist country. We just kicked Tim Scott's ass for doing it. Like, Kamala's not going to say America's a racist country. You understand that she has to say it. The point of me saying that was still a lie is the same reason why I have to look at this in both ways. So to your point, what Brittney Griner went through and what Brittney Griner did and what she endured, I've never been through anything like that. So I'm not going to take the opportunity to kick Brittney Griner in her kneecaps now that she's back and now she's standing. It's her right. It was her right to kneel. It's her right to stand. I will say this, though. We talk about the wealth gap in America a lot, right? And when we talk about the wealth gap in America, we talk about it as it relates to women and men. And we talk about it as it relates to Black people and white people, primarily. There are other wealth gaps that exist. One of them is the Black wealth gap. It's the wealth gap that exists intracommunally, whatever, however that makes sense, between Black people. And the wealth gap that exists in the larger American community exists also in the Black community. A large portion of the wealth in the 40 million Black people that live here is held by a very small degree of Black people. All right. Very small
Yeah.
percentage of black people. I think that's relevant here because Brittney Griner has benefited from that. Brittney Griner's case probably would have gotten some national attention had she not been a very wealthy, not very wealthy, but a wealthy, famous Black American athlete. But it certainly got much more because of that, right?
Absolutely.
And the fact that she's so notable and the fact that we hadn't had any conversations about Paul Whelan or anyone else that was locked up over there prior to that, not in the way that we talked about them after she was incarcerated, has to do with her status. And that's interesting in the decision not to kneel, because the kneeling, to me, is a commentary that is about the have-nots in the Black community. The ones who are going to run afoul of the police or be in proximity of the police more often than not. When you talk about the people who have been in the situations that are that we've organized around, you're not talking about very many people that come from the Beverly Hillses and the Baldwin Hillses and the Concords, Stratford places. Those are places in Louisiana. You're talking about people that live in different neighborhoods, some inner city, some suburban, but a specific segment of Black people. Not always, but most of the time. And that's because of their proximity to policing. And that's because of the way the police treat and relate to them. So I'm not saying that police brutality is a poor Black people's problem. I'm not saying that at all. Of course, we know that it's not. It can happen to you anywhere as long as your skin is what it is. And the reason why I'm going into this is because the kneeling was, the impetus of it was social injustice that had to do with police brutality in a very specific way. Not just that, but that was sort of the thing that was the spark for it. So when I watch this, I understand that Brittney is probably not going to kneel anymore. And I understand that she might have had some sort of awakening about what it means to be an American, about what it means to have a government that'll go to bat for you. And just to be honest with you, just about what it means, just about the fact that she just can't look like that. That's going to cloud the entire season. This is the path of least resistance, for sure. And I don't begrudge her that. But there is something to be said about why we do the things we do in the first place. Like, why do we do stuff? Like, why do we do it?
Sure.
In our own community, do we realize who has the privilege and who doesn't? Do we realize the differences between us that make what we do as important as what it is, right? Do we realize who's affected? Like right now, I'm not being affected by food deserts, by lead in pipes, in the paint. I'm not being affected by any of that stuff. I'm not being affected by it. But I have to advocate for it because it's disproportionately affecting Black people in a very specific way. And there is a thing to where there was some privilege and some advantages that Brittney Griner had that have now, I mean, for better or for worse, for fair or foul, extracted her away in a visible, dealing way from something that was for a large swath of Black people that still need her help. Now, that doesn't mean that she can't be,
Exactly.
that doesn't mean that she still can't be working for those people, but it does mean though, that the biggest platform she has, which is when she's on the court at a WNBA game, that no longer exists.
Well, I hear what you're saying, and I think it's interesting what you're saying, but I also don't think that it's fair. Because there's so many ways that because of who she is and because of the platform she has, that she can be impactful. And yes, she's not taking a knee anymore. Yes, when somebody sees her taking a knee, that stands for something. It also, when you do it a lot, I'm not trying to take away from it, people become desensitized to it. So I think that that's not the only way that she can use her platform to speak out and to represent for the reasons that she took a knee. More eyes are on Brittney Griner than ever have been probably before, because before it was just if you were a fan of her at the WNBA. Now she's someone who was a prisoner, held captive, and was brought back here. So people are looking at Brittney in a different way. So I think if she had said in that statement, just talking about why she didn't kneel and didn't also say, I'm not against anybody else that does it. If she stopped speaking out on behalf of Black people and the things that they're going through in this country, then that's something different. But I think it's a little unfair to say just because she's no longer taking a knee and we know why she's not taking it anymore, to kind of as if it takes away from all the other things, from the reason that she took a knee in the first place.
Didn't say they took away from it. I want to be clear here. And what you just said that when you take a knee enough times, people get desensitized to it. That's obviously true. You do anything enough times, people get desensitized to it. We talked about it on the last podcast. You know, sometimes my friends will they put in the group text like a picture of a girl or something like that. And they'll be like, ooh, look at her, she bad. And I'll be like, nah, dog, I'm in the life. It's got to go further for me to be like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm in the life. That's not enough. Okay. So I get it, right? I get it. I was in the life. I'm not in the life anymore. Okay. I'm not in the life anymore. Wasn't in the life. I get it. However, think about what you just said. What you just said was she came back and everybody was looking at her. So I could argue that if there was ever a time to take a knee, that game would have been the time. I understand why it didn't happen. Jay-Z comes into the National Football League. Jay-Z says, we're past kneeling. As if to say that, kneeling has worn out its welcome in the American cultural psyche, or it's just like not something that really matters, right? Not something that really works. Fine. People might feel that way. That's cool. But in both of these cases, and we're just talking in both of these cases, there is regulatory capture here. And what I mean by that is, in the case of Jay-Z, we were past kneeling when when you had a working relationship with the NFL. And in the case of Brittney Griner, she was past kneeling when America got her out of jail. So it's just something interesting for us to keep our eyes on. Brittney Griner deserves no criticism. It's not about Brittney Griner. What it's about is what we mean, how we mean it, and if these things that we do actually ever have any meaning. Because if they do, then you do them.
I get it.
For others,
Just want to say, Jay-Z got past it when it lined his pockets. Brittney, for her freedom, for her life, basically.
Well, no.
But keep going.
No. She's already free. So, you know what I mean? They didn't say
no,
kneel.
But
they didn't say kneel.
You said he got past it. It was past it when it lined his pockets, when it was business related. And you're saying she got past it after she was free. It's like, I get the point, but just, a little different.
Different in function. But I get what you're saying. Okay. I want to ask you a question real quick. Before we get to, you know what? Forget about the Uber suspend. Do you want to do the Uber topic? I have something else to ask you.
I'm fine.
Fuck
ask me that.
Here's the thing. Uber, don't have any fucking symposiums about being a Karen and then talk down to people. Don't do that. That's it. I have a question about you. I have a question to you.
About me? Oh.
Not about you. I have a question to you. This is not a rundown. This is a Van's very serious question.
Oh, it's back.
for one time, because I thought this was so interesting. Have you ever heard of the term financial cheating?
No.
Okay. So a friend of mine,
And I'm nervous.
recently found out that his girl was still getting cash apped from one of her exes.
Okay.
He found this out because he saw a cash app come in, and then he asked her about it. She didn't try to hide it. She just told him. She goes, yeah, that nigga's still sipping. I haven't seen him in years. The guy does not that the guy doesn't live in the United States. The guy doesn't live in, it's not the guy that doesn't live in their town, should I say. The guy doesn't live in the United States. He lives like over in like the Middle East or something. He works as like a fashioner for like he builds oil parts or something. So he's over working with OPEC or something, but he makes decent bread for that. Makes like a lot of bread, and he still hits her up with money every now and again. So my homie comes to me. This is a true story. My homie comes to me and he goes, Van, I feel like this is wrong. And I was like, well, you know, she did keep it real. She didn't try to hide it or nothing. She wasn't forthright with it. But when asked, she wasn't hiding anything, seen it pop up. But when asked, she goes, yeah, he still sends me money. And then the guy looked, and the guy sent her a lot of money. Like in the past couple of months, he sent her like $3,500. he sent
What's
her
the
a
question?
lot of, huh? The question is, and my homeboy says to me a term that I had never thought of before. He goes, I feel like that's financial cheating. And I'm like, damn, I never heard of that before. I'm like,
yeah.
Can you financial cheating for her to accept this bread? Because I was kind of like, bruh, you know, if he's paying for the nails and he's paying for the hair and she's not giving him anything in return, it's like, let that nigga pay. You know, what's the big deal? What is your thought on this, Rachel?
I'm with your boy. I think it's financial cheating because I think it's about how. So one, I would want to know, why do you need to get money from him? Because you shouldn't be doing it just because you can, right?
That's
just
why it seems like she's doing it. It seems like she's doing it. She was just like, so what happened was he was away for a long time. He got back on Instagram. She has her Cash App in her Instagram name. And he was trying to DM her and trying to DM her and trying to DM her, and she didn't respond to any of the DMs. This is the story. Verified if you look at the DMs. She didn't answer any of the DMs. Then he Cash Apped her and in the message put his name and hey, blah, 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 whatever. And then it was just like he started sending money. She hasn't seen him in 6 years.
You can delete messages from DMs. Just saying.
No. But I will say this. In her Instagram thing, she hasn't even accepted to be able to DM with him. That you can't do. Yeah.
Right. Okay, got you. Yeah, I think it's wrong because I think it's about how it makes I think it's about how it makes your significant other look. You know, she's like, well, yeah, I mean, that's what he wants to do, as if he was a simp, like you said. But that's probably how he's talking about her guy. Like, I mean, if it really is, it ain't tricking if you got it. It's nothing for him to be sending her some money. He's probably like, I'm sending her money because her man can't do anything, can't do it for her. You know, she's accepting it. She's taking the money. Obviously, I can do better for her than her man can. I think it makes her man look a certain way. Just imagine telling your guys, your family, another dude is giving your girl money. It's the optics of it.
Yeah.
And if I wouldn't want to make my guy look like that to another man.
One last salvo. We talked about this for hours. Financial cheating. One last salvo. She was able to prove definitively that she took $700 that was sent to her from this guy and went and bought my homeboy a PlayStation with it. She was able to definitively prove that. She was able to prove on the day that she bought the PlayStation, which was a surprise out of nowhere for the guy, on the day that she bought the PlayStation, that she got a Cash App for $700. That day he came home, because I remember even when she brought the PlayStation, because this nigga was still playing the PlayStation 4 like a bitch. I know you listen. I told you to upgrade your shit. Okay. And he's got the PlayStation 5 now. She bought it, but with the $700 from what I call
from him.
Great Gatsby oil tycoon man. That's what I call him. Great Gatsby oil tycoon man. Does that change anything?
The truth is, Great Gatsby bought it. So he's paying.
Oh, every time you play Spider-Man. Every time. I know you can hear me. Every time you play Spider-Man. And this guy makes money, by the way. I don't know why
he doesn't.
I don't know why he didn't buy himself.
See how you gonna play with him like this? It's emasculating a little bit.
It's not that big of a deal to me. It is.
Well,
it is.
Good.
It is a big deal because you shouldn't do it. You know, it is, but like I feel like it's something that they could just talk about and then move past. But it's becoming like a huge deal because at first it was like, and she kept it real about everything. Like literally.
Well, in her defense, she has her Cash App and her Instagram, so any man could be sending her money. Like anybody could.
Which is another thing that we talked about.
Like so in her defense, it's like you have no idea who's sending her money.
Yeah, he looked all throughout a Cash App now. He did a Cash App autopsy. He went all throughout her Cash App. Now he went throughout the Cash App. But we'll see. Look, so Rachel says financial cheating is a thing. You can't do it.
You shouldn't. You shouldn't do it. I'm trying to think of a situation where, I don't know. I think it's different for a man versus a woman.
Talk to me.
And maybe I'm different. If Brian had his Cash App and his Instagram and somebody's giving you enough money to pay your mortgage and your bills and you can prove to me, I'm gonna be like, keep letting it happen. And she's out the country, but that's me. It doesn't like make me feel like less of a woman. It doesn't make, but I feel like, you know, we talk about gender roles as much as you try to act like they don't exist. They do. I think for a man, it's a little bit more. There's a little bit more pride wrapped up in it. But I would be like, like I'd be showing people Brian's abs. I'll be like, and his office is right over there by the Beverly Center. Yes, get the business. Post another shirtless pic. That stuff doesn't bother me.
See what I'm saying? You don't look at you don't look at that in any way. See that? See? You don't look at that.
I don't look.
It's this. You agree with me, but just as long as the gender roles are fluid, you agree with me.
I think Brian would have an issue if I was accepting money from somebody else.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But if it was the same setup as you just described with your friend, I'd be like, let's save up for a trip.
All right. Interesting. All right. I told you I was going to bring you to the podcast. You asked me to ask Rachel, so I did so. Okay? I already told you what she was going to say, and I was right. Although I wasn't right about you saying that it's okay for Brian, which is interesting. I'd be
fine.
I'm with it. I get it. Well, I'm telling you right now, Rachel, pimp, daddy, Lindsay.
Tell Brian, put your Cash App now.
But see, Brian should already have his Cash App. You know how much bread Brian could be getting Brian, that's another thing about Brian giving
We'll
away the goods.
talk about it tonight.
Yeah,
we'll
see,
talk about
tomorrow,
it
watch.
tonight.
Tomorrow, you gonna go on Brian's shit. It's gonna be $ hot guy Brian.
I'm for it. I'll donate the first $1.
All right, take your thinking caps off, but do not stop learning. I am Van Lathan Jr.
And I'm Rachel and Lindsay. Bye, guys.